Hello and welcome back to Wildlife Hotel. I'm Eric.
And I'm Geoffrey.
And let me ask you, Jeff, what do Evangelion, sports cars, black eggs, and pirate ships all have in common?
Look, Eric, you can eat anything if you try hard enough.
That's right, Hakone. Wait, what?
Before we dive too deeply into Hakone, we highly recommend checking out the Hakone Free Pass. Even if, like us, you don't end up riding the ever-popular romance car out of Tokyo because you came from the opposite direction, it will get you around most of Hakone. They send you the pass to your phone and you just scan a barcode anytime you use the Odaku transit system. And everything covered by the pass is clearly labeled for you because they know you don't know how to get around. It's pretty foolproof. It might even get you on a pirate ship, if you choose the right one.
After an amazing week in Osaka, we took the Tokaido-san Shinkansen from Shin-Osaka Station all the way to Odawara Station on the east side of Hakone. From there, we backtracked a little on the Hakone-Tozan line to the Hakone-Yumoto Station.
It'll make more sense when you're there. We could have taken the Hakone-Tozan line all the way to Gora Station, but we wanted to stop here because we just happened to see on Google Maps there was an Evangelion store right in the station. Little did we know, we were about to see a lot more Evangelion paraphernalia while we were here, sometimes in the strangest places. We checked out the store, Eric bought a jacket, and we explored the outside of the station a little before hopping back on the Hakone-Tozan line to Gora Station. From Gora Station, it was just a short bus ride to get to our hotel on the north end of Hakone.
Our hotel wasn't anything special, but it was located within walking distance of one of the things that Jeff was most excited for in all of Japan: fun to drive. But more on that later. Since we didn't have any obligations on our first night in Hakone, we took our time getting there, stopping wherever sounded cool on the way to our hotel. But because we took our time getting there, we didn't have any time to explore Hakone proper on our first night. So instead, we spent the night walking around the neighborhood surrounding our hotel. And to be 100% transparent about it, our hotel was surrounded mostly by old abandoned buildings, but we never felt unsafe.
I don't think there is a part of Japan in which you'll feel unsafe.
And honestly, it was kind of cool to see a part of Japan that you don't get to see very often.
And if we hadn't stayed here, we wouldn't have found this amazing udon restaurant with black miso broth that was unlike anything we had in Japan. The restaurant was tucked away on what looked like some kind of small farm right across the street from Hakone Botanical Garden of Wetlands, where there's an Evangelion-themed car charger for some reason.
It's so you can plug in your Eva, get it?
That joke only works in text. So if you're visiting the botanical gardens and you want a meal unlike any other, try this place out. You won't regret it.
After a night of rest full of delicious udon and probably way too many snacks, it was time for our first real adventure in Hakone. Just a short walk away from our hotel, we boarded a bus to the Gora Eki bus stop just outside of Gora Station. From Gora Station, we took the Hakone-Tozan cable car and switched to the Hakone ropeway down to the also popular pirate ship port. You heard me right, pirate ships! In Lake Ashi, the views from the ropeway are absolutely breathtaking. From the surrounding mountains to Mount Fuji, or Fujisan as the locals like to call them, to the volcanic sulfur fields of Owakudani, where they make those mysterious black eggs you've probably seen all over TikTok. They're said to expand your life 5 to 7 years, so just keep eating these eggs and you'll live forever, right?
There are several stops along the ropeway, and we encourage you to check out each one to see if you're interested in any of the nearby attractions. We of course had to try these mysterious black eggs for ourselves, so we stopped in Owakudani to find out what all the fuss was about. But not before getting smacked in the face with the unmistakable smell of sulfur all the way from the ropeway, well before we could even see the fields.
So, what's the deal with these eggs? Are they dangerous? What makes them black? Well, we can assure you that these eggs are neither dangerous nor special in and of themselves. They're just normal chicken eggs. What makes them black is how they're cooked. They're hard-boiled for 60 minutes in natural hot springs contained within the sulfur fields. Due to the sulfur and the iron content in these hot springs, and some sciencey stuff we don't really understand, the eggshell turns black. But like the eggs you dye for Easter, these eggs look and feel like any other hard-boiled eggs once you crack them open. Just maybe with a little bit of extra sulfur smell on top. We had no idea what to expect, and honestly, we were kind of hoping the eggs would be black throughout, but I guess physics doesn't really allow that. But regardless, these eggs were really quite good. Did they extend our lives? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
I think all eggs are special. Even if you're not into eggs, we highly recommend giving them a try, even if just to say you did the thing. And if you're really not into eggs and you hate them with the fiery passion of a volcanic sulfur field, maybe you'll consider stopping in Owakudani for the views. Simply incredible. Don't forget to get the obligatory selfie with Fuji-san. After stopping for a quick meal, it was time to move on. We hopped back on the ropeway and took it all the way down to Pirate Ship Bay. And as we were walking down the stairs from the ropeway car, we were greeted with none other than Eva 1 from Evangelion. A 5-foot statue of Eva 1 sat in the middle of this nerve center themed room right in the main hallway. It was a fun little detour on the way to the pirate ships and a fun selfie opportunity. Hakone really is proud to be the setting of Evangelion. I would be too. I would also be proud of that.
There are a few pirate ships to choose from, but pay close attention to the signs and quadruple check Google Maps. Each ship follows its own path along the lake with different stops depending on where you want to go, and only one of them accepts the Hakone Free Pass. Don't worry, the Hakone Free Pass includes a round trip, so if you're planning on returning to the Eastern Bay, you're covered under the pass.
We took the Free Pass ship all the way to the southern port, taking in the amazing views of the forest surrounding the lake along the way. From the southern port, we traveled north along the edge of the lake, walking down the beautiful Old Tokaido Road. This path took us through a stunningly beautiful forest, winding to and fro while following the main road until we cut over to the Hakone checkpoint, an Edo period security checkpoint for travelers going to and from Edo, aka Tokyo. While there were close to 50 of these checkpoints all across Japan during the Edo period, this is the only one that's been restored to its original state. This open-air museum transports you back in time, immersing you in what once was. And don't worry, all the signs are also in English, so you can learn while you're here.
The linear path through the checkpoint took us straight to the Onshi Hakone Park for some beautiful views and some admittedly challenging hiking through even more beautiful forest. You're probably starting to notice a pattern here. The other end of the park connects back to the Old Tokaido Road, and from there we continued our journey northward. But where were we going this whole time, I hear you ask? None other than the massive Heiwa no Tori. If you're at all interested in Japan, you've probably seen pictures of this massive Tori gate that seemingly floats on the surface of the water. Pictures really don't do it justice. It's huge, like perspective-alteringly huge. And yeah, there's a parking lot and you can drive straight here, but something about the long journey through Old Tokaido Road, through the winding forest, through the historical Hakone Checkpoint Museum, through the excruciatingly long 40-minute line to wait for our turn to get our Heiwa selfie was... I can't quite put it into words. It's the closest thing to a spiritual experience I've ever had, and I'm in no way a spiritual person. The catharsis of making it all the way here and standing in awe of this singular gate has changed my life, and it's a memory that will live rent-free in my brain forever. And we got a sweet selfie out of it.
I guess selfie isn't quite the right word here. There's the unspoken rule that the person or group in front of you offers to hang back and take your photo for you. Maybe it was the exhaustion, but it was kind of surreal to witness the endless cycle of people taking pictures for each other without really even stopping to talk about it most of the time, just people helping because other people did it before them. The rest of the day was kind of a blur, but somehow we ended up at an Indian restaurant near our hotel with the biggest naan we've ever seen. We ordered extra because we wanted to make sure we had enough, and then this massive thing came to our table, and it turns out Indian food in Japan, pretty good. To be fair, we're spoiled by all the amazing Indian food in the Bay Area, but one of our naan here was blueberry, and I've never seen that before. And it was good.
It was good.
It was delicious. After such a big day, there wasn't much left to do but return to our hotel and collapse until the next morning.
On our third and final day in Hakone, we decided to splurge on an expensive stay at another ryokan for a night before we returned to Tokyo to finish off our trip, but not before the thing that Jeff looked forward to the most, Fun to Drive. So we checked out and walked straight over to Fun to Drive. I'll let Jeff tell you all about it.
While in Japan, I knew I needed to do some driving, and as I've been a Japanese sports car enthusiast for my entire life, not just any cars would do. So when I found Fun to Drive renting NSXs, FDRX7s, and GTRs of all generations, and of course my favorite and local legend, the AE86 Corolla 11, I knew I'd found the right place. Be sure to book a reservation on their website before you show up though. They do not take walk-ins, and we had to make ours weeks in advance, maybe months. We arrived in an unassuming building guarded by a line of some of the coolest cars around. If you're car people, you'll probably know all of these cars and why they're a big deal. If not, just look at them. They're still very pretty.
I mean, they're pretty cool to me too.
I signed in, watched a short video about not crashing, fair enough, and we took off in our cars for a full day tour of Hakone's legendary toge to experience breathtaking views, cherry blossom covered mountain roads, and of course partake in some particularly spirited driving in legendary cars on roads featured in the anime Initial D. This was my high point of our trip, bar none, and I can't recommend the experience enough for any car enthusiast. Paying tolls and flying down Mountain toge and the 8.6 Corolla was a dream come true, and I can't wait to come back and try the experience again in a different, amazing car.
I mean, I had fun and I'm not even a car guy. Unfortunately, we couldn't film in the actual cars, but we were allowed to take as many photos as we wanted. I had so much fun tagging along in the passenger seat and snapping as many photos as I could along the way. After fun to drive, it was time to make the trip all the way back to the southern end of Lake Ashi to get to our ryokan. And I know we talked about our amazing first ryokan in Kyoto, but this ryokan was on a whole other level. They took the concept of a traditional ryokan and ratcheted the luxury all the way up to 11. It was incredible.
And about $750 a night.
It was worth it. The view outside our room was serene and beautiful, especially with the rain, and even the baths were stunning in their own right. But this video is already long enough, so keep an eye out for an in-depth video about this ryokan very soon. We'll most definitely take some time to compare it to our ryokan in Kyoto, so we recommend checking out that video first. It's right here. Just click the thumbnail. You know you want to.
Hakone was amazing, and we barely touched the surface even after 3 days of some of the most memorable adventures in Japan. But unfortunately, we only had so much time in Japan and we still had Tokyo to look forward to. So until next time, have an adventure.